This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everybody. It's another Thursday. We're here on 97.7 KCYP, The City, out of McAllen, Texas. McAllen Creative Incubator here. Studio's right in the middle of it. Well, you know, a little off-center, but you get what I mean. We're also going out on YouTube. We're going out on Facebook, TuneIn Radio, and also Radio Garden is another app. They're good apps. I mean, you can watch anything you want on those apps. Listen to all over the world. You can listen to radio. I even tuned into Japan one time. I don't really dig the music because I didn't know what they were saying, but you know what I mean. You can go anywhere, right? So as I get the stuff coming up on the old screen here on the iPad, we're gonna figure out exactly who's in the chat and so forth, and then when you guys come in, we could have a conversation because the confession I have for you today is I only have a couple pages of notes. It was a long work day. I think we got enough to talk about. Might not take the whole hour, but hey, that's fine. That's fine too. So we're going to go to the barometer, the economic barometer once again. And ladies and gents, if we talk about nothing else this week, let us talk about the fact that Bitcoin is sometimes down. Yeah, but it's never down and out. No, it is not. No, and that's the thing that we always have to remember. And I was talking to one of my sons before the show. He's looking to get into some real estate. He wants to get a fourplex. He would like to become a landlord, and he's not even 30 yet. So I'm proud of him. But at the same time, he's been saving up, and he's got money in the bank. And as I told him, putting money in the bank costs you money. The banks pretend and they say now that, they have high yield savings accounts. There's no such thing with the bank as a high yield in your favor, okay? In your favor or in my favor. It's always in their favor, and they're going to get what they want regardless. So what I believe, and this is just me, and I know there's millions of other people out there that are coming around to this idea, Bitcoin is our opportunity. Bitcoin is a decentralized answer to a centralized criminal enterprise. And when I say centralized criminal enterprise, I do mean the Federal Reserve banking system. Without equivocation, I do mean that. It is clearly the case. And this criminality in no way benefits us. It benefits them. Now, yeah, if you want to become a criminal, but I don't think that the people in our audience, I don't think you're wanting to go that route. So the fact remains that the criminal enterprise, the banking cartels, if you will, are simply not in our favor. They mean us harm. They're parasitic. However, Bitcoin is not controlled by any of those entities. In fact, you could actually say it's controlled by us. We determine whether we're going to buy it or not. And today's Bitcoin price is $93,416 for one Bitcoin. So for $93,416 Federal Reserve notes, you can have yourself a full Bitcoin. I don't have anywhere near that. So I have this much. But it's better to have this much than nothing, right? So you get your $10, your $20, your $50 at the end of the week. Bam, you buy. Get a little more, you buy. Now, I'm not one of those people that say it's going to be, I think Kathy Wood, today I read that she believes it's going to be $2.4 million. I don't know how she comes up with these numbers. One Bitcoin will be worth $2.4 million. I don't know about all that. I'm not going to make promises. That's for sure. About something I have no control over. So the fact remains One, that nothing since 2009 has outperformed Bitcoin. Nothing. No investment, no hard asset whatsoever. You can throw whatever you want in there, including Manhattan real estate. You're not going to outperform Bitcoin. That's for sure. Silver, ladies and gents, silver is back up again, $33.81. One of these days, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to get unshackled. Silver's going to bust out, and we're going to win. Gold, 3,360. This week it reached all-time highs again. There's a lot of sentiment here. A lot of it is about tariffs, right? About interest rates, and simply the fact that the U.S. dollar is crap. In a word, yeah. Average mortgage rate, no help there. 6.9 for a 30-year, and 6.14 for a 15-year locked-in rate. And I don't feel happy for those people who are in a bind or in a position where they actually have to. They must buy at this point. Maybe they got pushed out of their place or whatever. They got to buy another place. So I hope that's not the case for you, because these interest rates are usually performed and foisted upon us by the usual suspects, if you know what I mean. And you do know what I mean. So here's a little bit of news in Cointelegraph. Bitcoin supply on exchanges is falling due to public company purchases, says Fidelity. We have seen Bitcoin supply on exchanges dropping. Public company purchases. We anticipate accelerating in the near future, Fidelity reported on the X social media program. Ladies and gentlemen, remember that the nature of Bitcoin is that it's cyclic, okay? Meaning there's a 4-year cycle, and we're really there. We're on the edge of when that they call it, some call it the banana zone, where it just goes, whoop, right? We're on that edge. So we're going to see more buying. But what seems to be different this go around is the large amount of, I guess you could call it, commercial buying. So public company purchases. Why is that? Well, I think we've gone over this before, but it deserves going over again. Bitcoin is now considered on a par with real estate and gold as a corporate asset, a legal asset that you could put on a corporate ledger to say, hey, these are our assets. This is what we're worth. Hard money, not necessarily completely liquid, but Bitcoin is certainly more liquid than gold and real estate, is it not? So you're seeing this. You're also seeing an industrial need, well, I guess you could call it a desire for the industry of banking. Why? Because, like I said before, we are going to come into a point. Corinne, good to see you. Excuse me. We are going to come into a point in the near future, I believe, where just having Bitcoin will allow you to buy and sell things. And I mean, you could do it now. Excuse me. You can do it now. It's just not as well known, or the strategies are not as well known. But it can be done. It's being done by enterprising people all over the world. Buying, selling, borrowing against, all that. And I think the big problem about it right now is regulations, or the uncertainty about the regulations, because nobody wants the thing that they're invested in regulated out of the scope of the business world. Yet the criminals are known to do things like that. They've done it before, excuse me, with platforms. They've done it with ideas. They've done it with inventions. However, another thing pushing this big buy with Bitcoin is the fact that when Donald Trump was elected, when we elected him, right, we told him, hey, you got a job to do. Get this done. And he's getting it done. We'll get into that a little bit later. He's getting it done. I don't even think we're 100 days in yet, but we're coming close. But fact of the matter is, there are many things in favor of why, or reasons for the surge in Bitcoin buying. Sue's on. Good to see you, Sue. Let's see what we got here in the Bitcoin Otter Run. So all this together, all this coming together, right? A surge in Bitcoin, the banana zone ready to go. People calling $2.4 million for a Bitcoin. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Kathy Wood said that. That wasn't me. She's got this venture capitalist fund that she runs, something like that. But anyway, Bitcoin is where it's at, my opinion. Get in it, get you some, and I think you'll be happy. But don't believe me. Research yourself. Do your own research. Figure it out. Throw it through the greatest thing that, how would you say, calculation metric that we have right now that they're finally letting us play with, because the government's had it for a long time. AI. So I heard this on a podcast last night. And if you're ever in for podcasts, you ever want to learn about different perspectives and stuff, I have looked at a ton of different podcasts, and there are a few that I really enjoy. Hit me up either in the comments or bitcoinotter@secure.com. Okay. And I'll answer your questions, but I'll throw you some stuff, some information. You can, go through it. But I mean, I listen to some pretty long form podcasts too. And one of them is called The Narrative, because basically what we're watching is a narrative, a series of narratives, moves, counter moves, measures, and countermeasures. The war that we're in against the globalists is a real one. It's thankfully not kinetic yet. Hopefully it won't go that way. They want it to. That's why they want to get that Pete Hegseth guy out. In case you're wondering about why are they always after this guy? Because he doesn't want wars. He is a warrior. He's a military man, and he knows that we've been throwing our young men and women into the wood chipper of unnecessary and crazy wars for bankers. Because remember, all wars are bankers' wars. So the fact remains that the landscape for war is out there. The landscape for the bad guys is out there. So let me get back to this narrative thing. They considered, and there was a great term put on by the female cohort in the podcast. She says that the AI that we receive now is like a Fisher-Price version of what they have. And if you're pretty young, you might not know what Fisher-Price is. Fisher-Price is a toy company. So she's basically saying that the AI we get to bump around with is just a little tiny version of what our government uses. And I'll concur with that 100%. But if you're doing your research, if you're figuring out what you want to, look into, what you want to dig into, or how you want to frame your perspective on this, that, or the other, AI is very good, especially if you train it up. Again, you want more information. I've got a ton of it that I can throw your way. It's just too much for us. And sometimes it's boring for people to be on the air and tell people, hey, listen, this AI versus that AI, here's how you want to prompt it. Here's how you want to train it. You want to train your chatbot to do this. You want it to give you this. You want it to not give you like I do with Grok. I've told him, yeah, I just gendered Grok, I know. But I told Grok, I said, I don't want disclaimers. I don't need disclaimers, okay? I know you're not a doctor, Grok. I don't need you to weigh in on, my blood pressure. I just want you to let me know, what is this medication? What are the ingredients? What are the off-label prescriptions that doctors have given? What can it do? What can it not do? What are the reports about it, right? And it's certainly not gospel, is any AI. But you'll learn from it, and then you tailor the responses that it gives to you to your needs. You can even have different categories of how you want to research things. It's excellent, and we, the people, have finally got a tool that can assist us, like corporations have had, the government itself has had, to work against us. Here's my favorite, and I say that in a very sarcastic way when I say favorite. Think about it this way. There are tools out there like Google Earth that allows you to look throughout the whole world. And, I've done it for fun. Just look at New Zealand or something and zone in on a neighborhood and just check it out, man. Hey, what's it look like over there? Whatever. But that's a tool that's been used against us. How do I mean that? Did you realize, did you ever think about this from this angle? Our property taxes pay the salary of a guy or a gal that spends his or her whole day on Google Earth looking at your backyard to see if you built a patio, see if you built a barbecue pit, see if you built a shed. And if so, they're going to raise your taxes. They're going to take more money from you because they sit in front of a computer all day and look at Google Earth to see what your backyard looks like compared to last month. It's crazy how they use these things against us. But we have tools now too. We just have to use them. We have to be disciplined enough to employ them in our strategies, if you will. You know, even the same thing with cryptocurrency or stock exchanges. We don't need brokers anymore. Can they help? Sure. Educated opinion and so forth. But the fact of the matter is you're in control of your money, and I wouldn't want it any other way for myself, whatever little money I have. Here's a little bit of news for you. Conservative Brief says, Trump judge orders White House to return deported migrant. No, in nothing in here says anything about mental retardation. I know I went down that road, but this is literally a Trump judge, so somebody that Trump approved, orders White House to return deported migrant. See, again, and I guess I can't go over this enough. The judiciary has no enforcement wing. They can't order anything. Do you get what I mean? Are you following where I'm going with that? The judiciary branch, the judicial branch is vital for our checks and balances system that people a million times smarter than me came up with. But the fact remains that judges cannot enforce their rulings. One. Two, these, especially the federal ones, right? Who the heck is this judge think he or she is to say that we have to go grab a citizen of another country and bring that citizen back? That's nonsense. That's stupid. That's idiotic. The person is home. That's their home country. Okay? This is just ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I don't understand. This never happens in the reverse, does it? I don't know of any case in the reverse. If somebody, from the United States, if it's not an extradition crime thing, how are we going to, make sure that somebody grabs one of our citizens? That ain't right. So a federal judge in Maryland has ordered that poor Maryland man. A federal judge in Maryland has ordered the administration of President Donald Trump to help expedite the return of a 20-year-old Venezuelan man who was deported to El Salvador. He's a Venezuelan man. He's not Venezuelan. Now, I don't know if this was a typo, but the fact of the matter is, I don't know. I think he's home. He's home, ladies and gentlemen. And we don't want him here, that's for sure. He's in MS-13. Well, if you're a Democrat, you want him here because he can vote. Okay, red state. New federal judge blocks part of Trump's EO requiring proof of citizen to vote. Citizenship. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you've seen these charts. You need identification to basically breathe in this world. Not just this country, this world, mind you. You need it to buy things. You need it to sell things. You need it to own things. You need it to do things. Identification is a way that the establishment determines what you can and cannot do. Now, if you're a libertarian or such, you might think, oh, that's bunk. And you might be right in many cases. But the fact of the matter is, you need ID. Except for one of the most important things you could do civically, vote. Well, why is that? Well, because there are cheaters. There are communists. And the only way they can win is by cheating. Commies gonna commie, ladies and gentlemen. And they're gonna commie hard. And that's why we invited something like 50 million illegal aliens. Yeah, it's that high. Something like 50 million illegal aliens are bumping around our country, and you're paying for it. How do you like them apples? You're paying for it. They tapped into our social security system. Why? One, so that we could pay for them. Two, because then they can get identification and vote. Yes, because even mentally challenged communists know that at some point you're going to need, or in some places you need ID to vote, not just to buy cigarettes, alcohol, drive, get a library card, but to elect the leader of a free nation. You need identification. You seriously, you need it. In fact, the so-called Democrats who do not support democracy whatsoever, these people have told us in the past that not having identification was basically tantamount to enjoying and participating in corruption, because it's rife with corruption. Of course, what do you think the pandemic plan was? Get us all in our houses, make us send in ballots via mail. Who knows who filled out those ballots? You don't know. That's how they stole the 2020 election. Yeah, I'll say it. I'll say it again. They stole the 2020 election. It's obvious. I mean, only someone with, a higher education, only someone with a Harvard degree would think that it wasn't stolen. Okay, we'll add some other Ivy Leagues in there. Go ahead. Be my guest. But the fact of the matter is, a rational person doesn't think that way. Now, Judge Colleen Collar Cotelli, always got to be 4 names, right? Or 3 names, yeah. District DC Court entered a preliminary injunction in a trio of consolidated cases involving President Trump's executive order regarding election integrity. See, here's the thing. If we have election integrity, we don't have communism. Because we don't want communism. Most people don't want communism. Even people who are lifelong Democrats, they watched a lot of TV. Even they want identification. Now, it's your so-called Democrats that make money being Democrats. They're the ones that don't want the identification in the voting process, because then they will retain power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? And that's what they want. They want it so there will be no more elections. Or if there are elections, then they're shams. Because you don't have no identification, you just, all illegals welcome. And then when we're, down to the level of, I don't know, you think of any sub-Saharan country, we're down to that level economically, morale-wise, and we're right where they want us, right where they want us. So I'm gonna sign off a little early today, and I know this is just a half an hour, half of the show, but I want to leave you with something that to me is very important. In fact, it's all important. And if we have hopes for our nation, if we have desires for our family's prosperity, we're going to figure out a way to draw on a higher power than ourselves. And it's not hard. It's simple. Sometimes it's not easy because we have to give up a lot of things that we think are important. But it is very simple. It's asking God to help us. It's putting ourselves in the position where He will deign, and I mean that in all seriousness, deign. He will bring Himself down to our level. And we have no conceptual idea. We have no conceptual understanding of what it is that distance looks like, because God is so far above us that we can't even imagine it. So He has come down to us in in the form of his son, Jesus Christ. And he said, even before we were given the King of Kings, in one of the Old Testament books, and this is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, so true and so effective, that if we are to do this, we cannot lose. And here it is. This was in Chronicles. So this was, BC, thousands and thousands of years ago. God said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Ladies and gentlemen, I have hope for the United States of America because I have faith in God. We can dilly-dally all day long about how our nation was formed, on what basis, what foundation was laid down. And you could, throw out terms that are very inconsequential, like Judeo-Christian, if you want. You can say that all you want. I don't buy it anymore. The basis of our system, our American system of governance, is one of freedom. It is one of faith. It is one of responsibility and accountability. The founding fathers actually said that if and when our populace is an amoral one, this system of governance is wholly inadequate to control them. When we say that, Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, to me that means he's dependable. And if we, who call ourselves by his name, it's not saying that the people who don't believe in Jesus, if you don't believe in Jesus, that's you. That's your choice. This world is free and God will have it no other way. Free will. You determine. But a lot depends on those of us that do. What depends on it? Well, the healing of our land says right here. If the people that call themselves by his name, which I would consider myself one of them, if we stop doing the nastiness that we've done in the past, he's going to hear. He's going to hear. He's going to help us. He's going to fix our land, heal it. So while I have many different ways of expressing how I believe that you, your family, myself, my family, we can escape the coming turbulence in the financial system, or how we're gonna win against a system of governance completely foreign to us. I'm talking about communism, tyranny. Well, that's the problem part of it, that it is so completely foreign to us. It wasn't foreign to our founding fathers. It wasn't. It was right there in their face, in their homes, was tyranny. And that's why they wrote the Bill of Rights. That's why they wrote the Constitution the way they did it. Okay? So as I sign off, I want to let you know that I am pulling not only for America, I'm pulling for you. Because as you go, as our community goes, so does America. I wish good and proper things for you and your family. Prosperity, blessings from above, safety, and peace. And peace. Peace that passes understanding, because that's how God gives it. We don't have to understand it, but we can be peaceful. We can be at peace with ourselves and how the world is. Maybe not how the world is outside, but how the world is here. And I know it's difficult. When I say it's simple, but it's not easy. There's a difference. But I ask that God above bless you and your family for the coming week and eternity. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. God bless you.
This